Alright, so in this video, you are going to see a teacher expertly do a quick draft of your projects. These are not going to be perfect. This is like a minimum. This is what I would give you guys I would accept this if you did it. So I'm going to read the science fair portion so everyone can hear exactly what I'm going to be expecting. The science fair portion will be another science fair based project. The boys showed great work on the last project, and I have nothing but the highest expectations of them. This project will have them demonstrating learned topics from each of the lessons covered in science this quarter, lessons 2, 3, 4, and 5. This component of the project will be 50% of the grade. I will require each section to be separate with minimum dimensions of 30 inches by 30 inches. The very nature of the assignments for each section will require that the students actually attach items to a board. The material of the board does not matter to me, but it can't be smaller than 30 inches by 30 inches. I will include the complete parameters of each lesson at the end of this communication. So 30 inches by 30 inches. So 30. Okay, so 30 by. So your guys' things have to be pretty big. Have to be just about this big. You're going to see it slightly smaller, and I will accept the sizes that I am doing. So this is a really big project, and it has to be big. So each lesson has to fit inside this big square right here. So if you have a diorama, it's going to have to be pretty big. If you're going to have the bread, I put on there that it needs to be at least 4 inches, so it doesn't have to be as big as this, but I do want it big. So let's do the first one. The first one is Lesson 2, Theory of Evolution by Natural Selection. So it says, following the provided guide, the students will be required to choose 4 of the stations to create for their project. The students will be required to demonstrate how different birds have adapted beaks to best obtain food. The stations have an explanation for each type of beak as well as needed tools to complete the station. The stations also have descriptions of birds that have this type of beak. The students will need to have pictures of these bird types present. If needed, I can print out the pictures, but the students will have to request me to do so. If you guys need the pictures, I'll print them out. You just have to ask. I won't just know you need them. So, what does this project have to have? I have a new minimum of here. There's 5 things it has to have. I have to see you must choose 4 different stations representing bird beak adaptations. So there's a list, and you have to choose at least 4 of them. All right. Each station must demonstrate how a particular beak is adapted for that food. Each station must have 3 tools to eat the food and must have a sign describing what kind of food is presented and must have pictures of the kinds of birds that use this particular beak. So you have the lesson guide, and there are 7 stations total. Each station has a type of food listed and the 3 tools. So I'm going to look at station 1. I'm showing you station 1 today. So station 1 says rubber erasers and a container of water to represent fish in a shallow water area. And this is a fish-eating beak. Okay? So I have to think about what a fish-eating beak is. The needed tools, I'm going to need pliers, an eyedropper or a straw, or a spatula. Because different birds have those types of different beaks. So I have to look. So what do I need? So what kind of supplies am I going to need? It says rubber erasers and a container of water. So that is the type of food I'm going to be representing. So in my supplies here, I have erasers. I have a shallow water because it said rubber erasers and a container of water. All right. So and what are these guys representing? They're representing fish. All right. So got my two fish. Let's throw a couple more fish in there. If you guys need erasers, if you do station 1, all you gotta do is ask, and I'll give you 2 of these bad boys. You just have to ask. I'll give you some erasers if you don't have any at home. Erasers float because fish float. If you have something at home, you want to do station 1, and as long as it's buoyant, you can use it. You can use erasers. You can use cork. You can use strips of paper, because paper floats. It just has to be something that represents fish. Now, I've never seen a pink fish that says pink eraser, so you have to use your imagination. All right, so now I have my fish. I am making this station. This is my project. All right, so I have my rubber erasers in a container of water. So now I need water. All right, water. I'm going to pour the water. All right. Did I fill it up with water? No, I didn't fill it up with water. It's just supposed to be shallow. All right. So my erasers are sinking to the bottom. That's okay. I still see their fish. Why wouldn't I want to use like a clear marble in this? I wouldn't want to use like something clear because you couldn't see it. Your classmates are going to come around to each of your stations and they're going to interact with your stuff. So you have to have it big enough and safe enough for them to interact. So now, I brought all my supplies from home. Right. So each station is required to have 3 different tools. Right. So for my station, for this one, I would have a pair of tongs, I would have a spoon, and a pair of pliers. These are wire cutter pliers. They are basic. All right. So now, I need one more thing for my station. It says that I have to have tools, the food, and I have to have a description of the station. So for this one, I typed this up. This says, station number 1. There are rubber erasers in a tub of water. These erasers represent fish for the birds to eat. This is a fish-eating beak that are very strong to grab a fish and hold on to it while hunting. I also have 2 pictures of birds that have that beak. I have an American bald eagle, and it looks like an emperor penguin. So I would have this behind this station. I would expect this for your station. This is good for station 1. I have a tub of water. I have my food represented. I have an explanation with pictures, and I have my tools. Your classmates would come along, and they could actually use this. So if I was a classmate, I would come around, and I would be a bird. So maybe this is a American bald eagle. And I would go in, and I would try to pick up the fish. Oh, look, I have strong jaws, and I'm picking up this fish. All right? If I was a seagull, have you guys ever seen Finding Nemo, that seagull that swoops down, and he picks up marlin and dory, and he's got that big old long mouth? Well, the spoon or a spatula could represent a pelican. So the students come in and they can go down, maybe even like a pelican would, pick up this eraser. All right.
Mr. G,
Yes.
can you use also tools? Because I was thinking of something more like you find more like a bag with a hole that's closed and scoop it up.
If you can explain it, and if in your explanation you tell why we're using that tool, then yeah. All right. And then another one, I could say this is a bird with a long plier-like beak, and so they would dip it, maybe like even like a flamingo, something like big old long beak, and they can come into the shallow water, pick up your fish. All right. This is good for station 1. There are stations where you have to throw popcorn or marshmallows into the air. I brought some of those. So, and then you can use a net. So if you had a station, if you wanted a station with marshmallows, who wants a marshmallow, by the way? All right. There you go, fish. Right now, you are representing fish that are able to grab bugs out of the air. All right? You guys are doing that right now. So you could have if one of the stations is station 2, popcorn or tiny marshmallows tossed in the air and caught to represent catching flying insects. So you would have these in a dry tub, and you would have an explanation that says station 2. You would need an envelope or a fishnet, or even a bag. So you can have a bag, and you can say what kind of birds this is. And so you would have pictures, because I don't know what a flycatcher is. You would have to watch it. So your station would have a bunch of marshmallows or something in a bag, in a box. You can have a bag, and you can pitch it up. Try to catch a marshmallow. So, all right. That is how you would do the first science fair project. This is what I would expect. But you would have to have 4 of these. So you would have one station, you have 4 stations. You see now, this would easily take up that 30 by 30. I've got 1 here, and I could fit 3 in this little square right here. So if I had 4 of these, it would actually be bigger. But this is what I would require. You have to have an explanation of the station. You have to have a representation of the station, and you have to have the tools. I actually like this. I like this. You can go and you can dig them out. All right. There's other ones where you have to crack walnuts. Now you have to. Your mom and dad have to go buy some walnuts. Everything that I got for this station, I had at home. Everything was at home. Everything. So yes.
You need to stop. Close my. Hey, please stop.
So that is how you would do the lesson 2 science project. All right. Clean up my mess. And I will provide paper towels because some of you might have water. If I see 10 copies of Station 1, I won't even be mad because you guys will make it yourself. All right. So now I'm going into lesson 3. Lesson 3 says create a fossil. I am actually going to do this right now. I actually got all the materials and I have everything I need to actually make a fossil. So it says, following the guides, the students will be required to create a fossil. The students will be required to make a fossil the size of a 6-inch dinner plate. The students will have to choose from a long extinct animal and create a backstory for their fossil. Where did the fossil come from? What did this animal eat? What kind of adaptations would it have needed to survive? The students will be required to have 2 pictures of their animal along with their descriptions of said animal. I'm going to create the fossil. I do not have that backstory created. I don't have pictures, but you guys will do the same thing like I did for the birds. You would have a description of your animal, pictures of the animal, what they ate, and what kind of adaptations they had. So what do you need for this one? I have bullet points. It says, must create a backstory of the fossil, must create a 6-inch or round or larger fossil using either the attached instructions or your own recipe. Because I understand some of you guys have probably done this before, and you may have your own recipes for making fossils. As long as you can demonstrate a fossil, I'll be fine. So, what do you need? You're going to have to include what kind of animal was your fossil, how long ago this animal lived, what this animal ate. Was he an omnivore, a vegetarian, or a carnivore? Omnivores eat both plants and animals. Carnivores only eat meat. Vegetarians only eat vegetables. What kind of adaptations the animal had to survive, and 2 pictures. All right, so now all of you got a lesson 3 guide. And this is also posted on the internet so your parents can see. Now I got to gather all my stuff. Hopefully I have it all. So I need coffee grounds. Coffee. I need flour. Flour. I need salt. Salt. I need cold coffee. Luckily, I am a kind of person, I don't drink all my coffee. So I have cold coffee. If your parents drink coffee at home, ask them to give you their coffee. All right? If you drink your own coffee, please don't drink before you come to school. All right. I need a mixing bowl. I had a bowl. I need a spoon or a spatula. Nope. And I need wax paper. Well, I'm a boy. I didn't read the instructions, so I brought aluminum foil. Wax paper will help because it will make it easier when you are pressing. All right, so now I'm actually going to do this. You guys can actually see someone doing it. Hoping it's going to turn out okay. All right. So what do? Mix the dry ingredients together, then stir in the coffee to make a dough. Great. So I need a half cup of coffee grounds. This is approximately a half cup. I already measured it. All right. Half a cup of flour. All right. My wife doesn't know I took our flour, so.
Don't tell her. Don't tell her.
Half a cup of flour. So I hope you guys are watching, because you guys can do this at home with your parents later. So flour.
I'm actually getting video of this.
Good. Flour. I need a quarter cup of salt. All right. Salt. All right. So now it says mix all the dry ingredients together. Okay. So now I am going to mix my ingredients together. I'm using a basic spoon. Mixy, mixy, mixy.
Oreos, what flour and coffee.
Mixing a spoon. Okay. I think that's pretty well mixed. It's all kind of mixed together. All right. Now I pour my coffee in there. All right. So to make sure it's good and mixed, I can have the bottom. So, well, this Mrs. Reese asked a really good question. She said, "Does it have to be coffee?" For this particular recipe, it calls for coffee, so I use it. If you have your own recipe at home that doesn't call for coffee, you sure don't have to use it. I imagine the coffee is used probably as sand, but we'll see. All right, so now, all right, now I'm going to carefully pour my coffee because I don't want to make a mess. All right, if I'm at home, my mom might get mad. If I'm at work, everyone will be mad. So now I'm going to mix it all in. And I'm making a paste, right?
Yeah.
So mixing, then stir in the coffee to make a dough. Oh, this is magical looking. All right. All right. This is why I have paper towels. Some of you guys may want to use gloves at home if you don't like the texture or the feeling of, I don't know, the fact that there's going to be food on your hands. You don't have to. Right now I'm mixing this, and what I'm feeling is that as the flour gets dispersed into the solids, the paste is getting thicker and thicker, which is what I want because I'm making a cast. I need it to be thick because that's the best way that I'll make a nice strong cast. All right. What I'm probably going to do is I'm identifying that it's getting thick. I would like it a little thicker. So I am probably going to add a touch more flour. Just a little bit of flour, not that much. If you add too much, you won't be able to use it, and it'll be harder. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of flour. There we go. All right, so now I'm mixing it. There we go. Now I'm liking the consistency. If you guys have modeling clay, I imagine you can probably just use modeling clay. Because modeling clay, when you leave it out, it turns rock hard. If you wanted to add food coloring to your modeling clay, do that too, because then you'll change the color. You'll make it a nicer color, because this is turning a nice shade of brown. But why would I want this to be brown? Someone on the phone. Why would I want this to be brown? Why is it brown? Because when I see fossils, what I think there's someone on the okay. Michael, did you go down to the nurse? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Why would I want it to be brown? Because when our archaeologists find fossils, they're in dirt, they're in mud, they're in dried, they're fossilized. So you wouldn't expect a fossil to be chartreuse. That'd be really strange, you know. But if you want to on your project make it a different colored fossil, feel free. All right. So now I've got it all mixed up. What does it say now? It says, press the dough into the wax paper with your hands or a spatula. Well, I'm going to use my hands. Take off my watch. If you're at home, you want to make sure that your parents, of course, are giving you plenty of permission to do so. All right. So I'm going to scoop it out first before I have to touch it because, again, this is food stuff. By the way, you guys should know I halved this recipe. So whatever I make will be about half the size. So if you follow this recipe that I gave you at home, you will make twice this much, which is what I would want to see. I would want to see it twice this size. All right, so now I'm pressing it. Press the dough into the wax here with your hands or a spatula. Cut circles of the dough using cookie cutter or an upside down glass. JC, would you do me a favor and go get that glass jar from my desk? That mason jar with the lid with the teddy bear on the top. So I am actually now manipulating my stuff here. All right. It says use a glass because you're wanting to make a round fossil. You're going to make a round one. So cut circles of the dough using the cookie cutter upside down glass. Let's give it a shot. All right. So I'm going to press it in there. I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to actually pull it away. All right. Oh, it didn't turn out perfect. So got to get in there. You got to get in there. There you go. All right. So you cut it out, kind of scoop the rest away, and then you're going to press your object because you have to indent an object in there to actually make it stick. So Let's see, what am I going to use? Yeah, use my eraser here. All right. So now you're going to push some object into your cast. It says, press the object into the dough, then carefully lift them out. So you'll press it into the dough. So you'll, at home, you'll want to use a leaf, you'll want to use some sort of toy at home, and then you'll want to carefully pull it out. Because what's happening is you're leaving an indentation of your animal in there. And then it says, let the dough fossils harden overnight. If they're not completely dry, turn them over and let them dry for another day. So if I leave this out and I let it sit, it will harden overnight or the next couple of days. All right. So then you'll pull your object out and then you'll have a fossil. Yes, this is doughy. This is a mess right now, but when you're at home, it'll be a little easier to manipulate this stuff. So that is making the fossil. When you bring yours in, it'll be twice the size. It'll be nice and large, and you'll have a nice indent of your item. Put a couple of things in there, but again, you are having a backstory of whatever it is you are making. All right. Yes, Michael.
Why don't you later on know how does that dough feel?
That right now it's gritty. That's a good question. How does it feel? It's gritty because I have those coffee grounds in there. Those coffee grounds are representing probably sand, silt. So like I said, you guys may have some texture. You know, you may not want to have all that texture on your hands. So just wear gloves or try to find something that you won't have to get your hands dirty. If you wear latex-free gloves or latex gloves, if you don't have a latex allergy, you'll be fine. And you won't feel this up, but you'll have to work it. All right, so that is making the fossil. You guys should see that everything that I have for this was at home. Coffee, flour, water, food coloring, that kind of thing. I have all that stuff at home, and you guys will as well. So right now, my total cost for my project is zero. It's $0. I haven't spent one dime, and I won't have to. So unless you guys have to go get something, then that's fine. But you really, in reality, you probably should not have to spend much money so far. All right, next one. So that's 2 and 3. Oh, my next one's coming up. Lesson 4 is all about history of life on Earth. The project that you'll be doing for this is what killed the dinosaurs. So we've all heard a bunch of different theories about what killed the dinosaurs. I have included a website that has multiple theories listed. And you guys will pick one of these. You guys will pick one of these theories. Not of your own, but one of these theories, because these theories have been scientifically researched. And I was looking around for toys this morning, and I said, and I saw one of my kids' dragon toys, and I said, what if one of my students said, I want to create a dragon extinction theory, the dragons kill all the dinosaurs. Well, unfortunately, that would be awesome, but there's no scientific research to prove that dragons killed off the dinosaurs. I want scientifically backed research. So you guys pick one of these. So one of these, it says there's an asteroid impact. It's a very highly sought after theory is that a giant asteroid hit the Earth. An asteroid the size of a skyscraper hit the Earth, blew dust up in the air, and dust covered the sun, and the sun wasn't able to shine, killed plants, killed animals, and eventually everything went extinct. There's an asteroid theory. There's the Ice Age theory. So an ice age came and killed everything off. There's a volcano theory. Volcanoes erupted and carved out the land and covered everything. And there is disease and competition from other animals. So you guys will pick one of those. And let's read the rubric. Using the guide provided, the students will need to create a diorama of one of the theories of dinosaur extinction. The students will need to have several animals present along with a visual representation of the theory. Example, if they choose the Ice Age theory, I will need to see a frigid environment. If they choose the volcano theory, I will need to see a volcano and the dinosaurs responding to the eruption. This does not have to be dynamic, meaning I will not expect to see actual ice or actual lava for the volcano. What must you have for this? You must have a diorama depicting a single extinction theory. So I want to see one really good one. You must have animals present or representative of the animals, 5 minimum. So I have to see representation of animals, dinosaurs. You can use other items. You don't have to use toys. You don't have to use dinosaurs, but it must be obvious. And the landscape of extinction must match your theory. If you choose an ice age, I must see a winter type theme. So I'm going to show you what I did. I actually created this diorama this morning. It took me about 7 minutes or so. So what did I need? I needed a box. So I used the box lid. We have print paper boxes here at the school. If you need a lid, ask me and I'll get you some. We have a bunch of these. So this is a basic lid. And I cut one edge off of the lid, and I took green construction paper for the land, and I lined it, and then I took red, and I'll show you in a second. So here's my before. I have a single lid. I then cut off the edge and covered it in construction paper. If you guys need construction paper, ask me, and I'll give it to you. We have plenty here. You just have to ask. How did I secure this? I glued it to it. I used simple Elmer's glue, and I glued the construction paper to the box. Cut it to fit, and this is fine. This took me 3 minutes, right here. 3 minutes to cut off a box and use the construction paper. That's all it took. This is now, looks like a grassland. I would accept this, all right? So, for my particular extinction theory, I chose the volcano theory. So what am I going to do? What do I have to have for my volcano theory? If I'm going to match my landscape, I have to have a volcano. So I brought from home a measuring bowl. A measuring bowl. This measuring bowl was free. I didn't have to buy this measuring bowl. All right, so I have it, and I'm going to put it here in the corner of my landscape. I then took red construction paper because red is a color for fire. And volcanoes emit fire, so I cut and I am going to put my volcano fire around the top of my volcano. And because I don't want to see the top of the lid, the bowl, I simply stuffed another piece on top of that. So, a very basic volcano right there. All right? Now, I ask myself, when a volcano erupts, what comes out? Well, there's lava and there's soot, there's all kinds of stuff. So I took another strip of construction paper and I cut them. And I cut it into single strips. That's going to represent my lava flow. And so I'm going to simply stick my lava strips out into my diorama. So now I have the basis of my theory right here. I have a volcano. I have lava flow. I'm missing something. If I were to turn this in, I would not get a full credit because I look on my rubric, I do not have dinosaurs. I need a minimum of 5. So I went around and found some items that my children have. I have some dinosaurs. So I'm going to put those around. And I'm having the dinosaurs respawn. Some of them are dead. Some of them are already dying. Some of them are still running around. I ask myself, what if I don't have dinosaurs at home? Well, I have Woody. Woody can be a representation. If you don't have dinosaurs, don't go out and buy dinosaurs. Use whatever toys you have at home. So I would have Woody, and I think I should have, I have other stuff too. So, Ninja Turtle. This Ninja Turtle is about to become extinct. All right, so he's dying. Oh, Buzz Lightyear shows up. Now Buzz is in here as well. So what I am seeing is a very basic representation of a lava flow making things go extinct. This is not 30 by 30. This is small. However, if you have something about this size, so if you guys have box sizes this big, I would accept this. I don't need anything else for this project. I don't need a typed up piece of paper. I don't need anything else. I just have this, and this would be fine. I would consider this full credit for your extinction theory. All right. So that's the fourth one. This is an example of that. The last one, which should really speak to some of you guys, is we're making mold. If you guys have ever opened up a old loaf of bread, you've seen mold. So now I'm going to go to my rubric, and I'm going to find the lesson 5. Lesson 5, classification of living things. You're growing bread mold. Here, the students are being asked to demonstrate that mold spores are present anywhere and everywhere.
Does he need to be in here?
You can go. You can go. Using the guide provided, the students will be required to create a bread mold specimen and present it to the class. The actual bread needs to be about the size of a 4-inch dinner plate. Regular pieces of bread will be fine. The students will be required to list the steps involved with creating this project, as well as defining what a bread mold is. The students will be required to demonstrate what materials they used and how much of the materials they needed. I will also want to see how many took it days for the experiment to be completed. The bread needs to be contained safely prior to demonstrating. It can then be opened for the presentation and, of course, will be destroyed upon completion. Once you guys are showing us your bread mold, we will throw the bread away. We're not going to take it home. We're not going to keep it any longer because, again, it is moldy bread and we don't want that to be around. So, what must you have? You must have a living mold sample using bread or a loaf. You must include the steps provided to obtain the mold specimen. You must define what bread mold is. You must include the steps to obtain mold specimen and how many days it took to grow the mold. And the bread must be safely contained prior to demonstrating for the class. I would need to see a type-up of the entire process. Luckily, the Lesson 5 guide that I have provided does exactly that. It provides exactly step-by-step how to make the bread mold and how many days it takes. So, if you simply rewrite these steps, you'll do fine. Just rewrite these steps. So, what do you need? You need a piece of bread. You need a resealable, airtight plastic bag. You need a dropper, a cotton swab, a milk carton, a cotton swab, adhesive tape, water, and disposable rubber gloves for protection. So, you guys would be making this. If you guys turned in a couple pieces of bread like this with mold on it, I would count it just fine. I am not going to demonstrate making bread mold because it will take a couple of days. But the instructions are there. The instructions are very clear. Follow the instructions and you will do fine. That is step-by-step how to do each of your science fair projects. If you guys do a minimum of what I showed today, you will do fine. You also have a writing component in which I will place examples of the writing component onto the Google Drive so you guys can see those as well. You see an example. This is due on January 9th. You guys now have all the tools you need. I can't wait to see them.